观众朋友好，欢迎收看最新一期的子天访谈录 SD Talk Show， 我是子天 Schedule。Welcome to SD Talk Show. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Sky. I don't know about you, but I'm very excited about our talk show today. You know that tomorrow will be a big day.
Yeah.
Election day. And of course, there will be many races involved. But one of the races that will be directly involved with not only us, but our children's future.
Yeah.
It's very important. With that, it is a great honor and pleasure to have the president of the superintendent, Mr. HD Chambers, who has a public service in education for 36 years. Would you please say hello to our audience?
Well, ni hao, and hello to everyone. As Danny mentioned, I'm HD Chambers, and I'm honored to say I serve as the superintendent of Alief. I've been a superintendent for 16 years, and I've been in education for 36. And I look forward to the discussion, and I do appreciate you guys having me on the show today to share some important issues and some important benefits that are going to come to our students and our families of Alief ISD.
Yes, we appreciate you. Today, people, all the candidates are running as fast as they can and working as hard, and I appreciate you for coming here.
Yes, sir.
Because you have an intention of reach out to the audience one more time. And very quick, you're not a stranger to our community, okay? And you have served for 36 years, and you've been over the places. And I understand that you are one of the superintendents that had received the very honorable recognition. It's called the Superintendent of the Year for 2 times, 2014 and 2021.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's so education. So tomorrow is the election day. What message would you like to share with the audience, especially the parents and teacher and the school working together?
In my opinion, the most important thing that a school system can provide are opportunities and access to those opportunities for our students and for our families.
Yes.
And the only way you do that is you do it by working together.
Yeah.
So you mentioned tomorrow is election day. So Alief ISD has a bond referendum on the ballot. And that bond is inclusive of many things that I'll share later.
Yes.
But it is inclusive of things that reaches the core of why I do what I do.
Yes.
I wake up every day and I come to work because I want the students of our school district to have every opportunity with the best resources, the best equipment. Again, the opportunities that every child in any other neighborhood has, I want our students in Alief to have those and even better.
Right.
And as a result of that belief, I am out attempting to communicate with as many parents, with as many community members, leaders as I possibly can, to share with them what my vision is, what my goals are, and the reason Alief ISD exists.
Right. I have no doubt that our populations, our community understand the importance of educations. And we even had a saying in Vietnamese and Chinese that, your parent may raise you, feed you, but an educator is the one that will change your destination, which is very important.
Yep.
And I think they understand that. But the important thing is that you have been trying to reach out to the parents. So are you happy with the level of participations of the community involvement in terms of parents?
I don't think I'll ever be happy because I'm
satisfied.
I'm constantly striving for every family member, every parent to play a significant role, not only raising their child.
Right.
I mean but as you mentioned, there's a certain point where the school systems and the schools take responsibility for providing the opportunities, as I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
So am I happy? Probably not, only because I think there's room for us to improve. I think there's room for the school district for outreach to families, particularly families who are first-generation citizens.
Yes.
They're just coming to our country. They're nervous. They're scared. Sometimes schools are intimidating to them.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of work to do in the school district, not just Alief, but education in general.
Right.
We have a lot of work to do to make sure that those families feel welcome. What I feel good about in Alief is our attempts to communicate. So you've got a flyer here. We put it in different languages. We have it in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Mandarin, Chinese. We have it in every language that makes up the majority of the individuals in our community.
Right.
Because I realize there are, and we have roughly 100 languages spoken in our district. So we have to, as a school district, we have to be very intentional with how we communicate with those family members, and do we do it in a way in which they can listen and they understand.
Right. You provide programs, educational programs and services, and the feedback from these people are very important. And due to the culture, it's just the culture. Sometimes people don't want to give feedback. So how do you know if what you have provided is satisfactory to how do you do that?
That's a really good question about how do we know if what we're sharing with our students and what we're sharing with our families is actually meaningful to them.
Yes.
There's multiple ways we do this.
Yes.
One is we do what we call climate surveys every year.
Yes.
And we do them in multiple languages, and we send them out to parents of all walks of life. We also do it with our staff. We send it out to our staff. We send it out to our students. And we ask questions like, do you feel like you're a part of Alief ISD?
Yes.
Do you feel like the opportunities that Alief ISD is offering you are meaningful? Are they useful? Are they going to be helpful to you as you get older? As a parent, we're asking the same questions. Do you feel like your tax dollars are being spent wisely? Do you feel like the opportunities that your children are being given are equitable? And are they equal? I mean, so there's one way that we're asking parents that directly through surveys. The other ways we do it are we have what we call family engagement centers in our district.
Yes.
So every campus has a person that their job is to reach out to the families on their campus and try to make those families feel more welcome, share information with them, because many of, as you mentioned, many of them don't really communicate back.
Yes.
They don't tell me whether they're upset.
Yes.
Or they don't tell me whether we're doing something that they don't agree with. So not only through the surveys, but through our family engagement centers, we have one-on-one conversations with parents and family members. I have a committee that I meet with about once every 4 weeks to 6 weeks. It's called Family Ambassadors.
Yes.
And it's family members from every one of our schools that I get. Recently we've been doing it Zoom, but at some point we will do them face to face. But we're seeking input from those individuals as well. So those are just three quick examples of how we're trying to seek feedback, and then more importantly, what do we do with the feedback?
Yes.
And I will tell you, I'll give you a good example. Several years ago, we heard, particularly from the Vietnamese and the Chinese communities, that they wanted more international opportunities for our students.
Yes.
So we started an international school, and it's a school within our school at one of our high schools, and it's a program that students who come in from middle school into 9th grade go through a 4-year education.
Love it.
Which is based in large part on international studies. And so that's an example of us trying to respond to what the families were asking for.
Yes. So international school right in the district. I'm pretty sure that you have effective means, to get feedback. And then I've been thinking about it. I think two major factors may be preventing from full participations. Number one is a culture things, not speaking up. And number two, they may be thinking that they don't want to bother the schools. I guess that's why you came to see us today. I mean, you want to reach out because you want to let people know that you are a leader, hands-on. You want to, the fact that you spend a lot of effort and resources and translate it into every languages. And I see you have an assistant who distribute these, so the intentions is there. And then that will lead to another point is you talk about international schools. I mean, I really commend that. I think that's outstanding. But of course, the school cannot do by themselves.
Right.
And then a group of people I like to talk to you about is the community leaders. I mean, you got small business leaders. You got leaders like Mr. Whaley with the International Trade Center, Dr. Tinas. Those are people could be a great collaborator for you.
Right.
Because they have the facility. So you want to utilize as much as you can. Give me your feedback on that.
No, I agree. I think that lends itself a little bit to what I said earlier with I'm not as happy as I would like to be with the relationships we have. I think there's ways that we can grow and build upon infrastructure that's already in place in the international community. So I sit on the international board, management board, for example, with Mr. Lee, and we talk constantly about what is it we can do in partnership to build the economic development of this area.
Yes.
Well, the school system plays a specific role in that. I mean, most communities are defined by their school systems.
Yes.
And Alief is no different. So my reaction to that is, yes, I see many opportunities that school systems have to take advantage of what the business community offers.
Yes.
But I also want to say there are many opportunities for the business community to get involved when sometimes they don't do it.
Yes.
And so we have multiple responsibilities on each end. I have a responsibility to have outreach, like I'm doing right now.
Yes.
To the community, both the business and the residential community. The business community also has to respond.
Yes, sir.
And you can't. And I'll just say this: sometimes the frustrations that we in education have with business community members are, they will respond, but just for short periods of time.
Right.
And then something else comes along. And
yes, sir.
It has to be sustainable and has to be consistent. So those are the things I'm committed to and have been committed to since I've been doing this. But no, I think there, particularly in this area, in the Alief area, in the international community,
yes,
there are so many opportunities and untapped resources that we both have to take advantage of.
Yes, yes. Getting feedback is very important. I think the business community are standing behind you. And I think that the fact that you're willing to reach out, hopefully we're going to have some kind of forum. And with the facility that we have, we will collaborate with you to create awareness, but more than creating awareness, to encourage participation.
Right.
That's why we're doing. Scott, you've been very quiet. So, what question do you have for the superintendent, Mr. HD Chambers?
Yeah, we know tomorrow is your big day, and I have a question. During the pandemic, what's the challenge? Biggest challenge for you? And after tomorrow, what's the future blueprint, the plan, maybe 3 years, 5 years, and why you want to be an educator?
Okay. I'll tell you what, I'm going to start with your last question first. Why did I want to be an educator? I've always believed, and I didn't, you don't believe this early on. You have to grow into this. I mean, it takes experience.
Yeah.
But I've always believed that in order for our republic, for the United States, for the state of Texas, for the greater Houston area, for the Alief community, in order for us to thrive and to take advantage of the beauty of the United States of America, the education system is the core of it. Yes. It doesn't happen without education. And I always wanted to be a part of something that was important to the sustainability of our republic, of our country. So that sounds kind of hyperbole, and it sounds kind of, dramatic, overly dramatic, but it's the truth. That's why I've served as long as I've had in a leadership role. I want to be a part of continuing that and want to be a part of that. So that's why I was an educator. That's why I've done it for the last 36 years. And God willing, I'll do it as long as they'll let me. Now, to your question about the pandemic and then the big day tomorrow, the pandemic was, still is. It's not as though it's over.
Yeah.
It was a challenge of all of our lifetimes. I just can't say it was the most difficult time of my life. It was the most difficult time of just about everybody's life.
Right.
But as it relates to being a superintendent, what made it the most difficult was I did not have control over anything. I didn't have the ability to make decisions that could protect teachers, that could protect students. It was out of my control. And when you're in an education system, and you've got systems built, and you've got certain things that take place. It's like a building of a building. You have a foundation,
right.
Then you have the framing, and then you have the walls, and then we're constantly building things. The pandemic stopped all that. As a matter of fact, it rerouted all of the direction that a lot of systems were doing, including us. It rerouted us back to just protecting people and trying to keep people safe.
Right.
So that has been the most, among all the difficult things, that sticks out in my mind. As it relates to tomorrow, yes, tomorrow's election day. And as Danny mentioned earlier, there's depending on where you live, there's a lot of things you can vote on and vote for, people you can vote for. In Alief, if you live in Alief, you're going to have a chance to vote on really 3 or 4 different things. There's going to be some statewide propositions.
Yes.
Depending on where you live, you may be able to vote on a Houston Community College trustee position.
Yeah.
And then the 2 that are important to Alief ISD are the bond election,
Yeah.
and then we have a school board election.
Yes.
I'm here to talk about the bond election, but
Yes.
but my vision, to answer your question, my vision is if we're fortunate enough for the voters to approve the 4 propositions, my vision over the next 3 to 5 years is that we expand the opportunities for every child, whether it's in fine arts, which is like choir, band, orchestra, all the things that are important to our families and our children. We provide the best equipment. That means instruments. It means that we provide the best facilities, the safest facilities, and that we provide the best training for our teachers. And then on top of all of that, you provide opportunities to do what we talked about earlier, which is to collaborate.
Yes.
People come in and take advantage of these things. In 2015, we had a bond election.
Yes.
Many people may remember that, in 2015. It was $341 million, and it included a lot of things. We told the community we were going to build a career center
Yes.
for students to get their certifications in certain things that maybe some children who may not be going to college. But we wanted to give them a meaningful credential, a meaningful certification, so that when they go into the workforce, they can make a good living for their family. And
Right.
we've done that.
Yeah.
We wanted to build pre-K. We're building 2 pre-K centers as we sit here today. And then we repaired and maintained our facilities throughout the district. And we did that all under budget. So to the taxpayer,
Awesome.
we actually didn't spend as much as we anticipated. So now, as we sit here in 2021, the 2015 bond we've used all the resources in that bond, and now we're asking the voters to consider these 4 propositions for the next 7 years.
Yes, we do like you to talk about the 4 proposition in details. But before that, I want to inspire the audience to come out to vote tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I understand correctly, the superintendent HD Chambers will be at one of the voting locations.
Yep.
And you go out to vote tomorrow, you get a chance to shake his hand and ask him a lot of questions. I don't know where, but it should be one of those.
I don't either.
That is surprising
I'm gonna be
element.
moving around.
Yes, and now would you please briefly, I think we got about 7 minutes left.
Okay.
Would you briefly tell us the detail of the 4 propositions? Why people support it?
You bet. So as a voter, when you go to the polls tomorrow, you're going to see a ballot. As I mentioned earlier, you're going to have 4 bond propositions. You're going to have 4 board of trustee candidates you can vote for. On the bond propositions, each proposition, there's a proposition A, B, C, and D. Proposition A is a large one, and it includes things like repairs to our schools to maintain them, like air conditioning, heating, plumbing, roofs, etc. It also includes things like an agricultural science center for our students who raise livestock. You may not know this, but we have a lot of children who, as a part of their educational experience, they raise animals and they show them in rodeos, they show them at the livestock show, they show them across the state of Texas. It's a tremendous learning experience. And so we want to provide, this bond would provide a new facility, an upgraded facility, a very equitable facility for those children. It includes things for safety and security cameras, security infrastructure for security across our district, facilities and cameras. It includes the rebuilding of 2 elementary schools, Ewens Elementary and Chambers Elementary. They're some of our oldest schools, and our consultants have shared it's time that we begin rebuilding to give those children a very 21st century learning environment. That's Proposition A. It's the largest. It's got the most items in it. Every school, every student, every staff member will be impacted. Proposition B is athletic facilities. So I know our community members enjoy playing tennis on our tennis courts. They enjoy going to athletic events at baseball and softball fields. So we will be upgrading our tennis courts, our baseball fields, our softball fields, things of that nature. Proposition C is Crump Stadium. Crump Stadium is our football soccer stadium, and it has not been renovated since 1974.
It needs to be renovated.
The committee, the bond steering committee that was made up to study this felt like it was time. So there are some renovations to the Crump Stadium that would be included. Things like a press box, scoreboard, the playing surface, the running track, etc. And then last but certainly not least is Proposition D, and that's all things technology. So think about devices for students, Chromebooks, iPads, laptops, etc. Trying to keep up with the ever-changing world of technology in our classroom. So you would have, this would include things for teachers, for students, for our campuses, and then as a part of our community outreach, as a part of our community members. So those 4 propositions are what make up the bond referendum. I am encouraging everyone to be as informed and knowledgeable as you can about those 4 props so that you can cast an informed vote when it's time for you to vote.
Yes, as a matter of fact, due to the lack of times, you haven't had an opportunity to go into very much deep in details. But for those of you at home, if you're interested in learning more about the details of each Alief Independent School District 2021 bond, you may go into the website. What would you please?
If you go to www.aliefisd.bond, so if you just go to aliefisd.net.
Say that one more time, please.
www.aliefisd.net.
Yes. And in these websites, you not only find English, but we see different languages as well. And I encourage you to come and learn more about it. We all want our children to do well. Mm-hmm. We came to America. We live in a very diverse community. We come from everywhere with common vision. We want to have a better life. We want to pursue happiness. But to pursue happiness, education is the key. It's the key to the futures. And these can open a lot of doors. So I know you as a leader who devoted 36 years, you must have done something right. Otherwise, you would not have lasted this long. So I wish you a lot of success. But more importantly, I'd like to ask our community, because we give you a mission, we give you an assignment, and we got to give them the tools and resources to support them to get the mean they do. So I encourage you at home to go vote tomorrow, go vote, and you will get to shake hands with the superintendent in person, and we will get the resources done so we can empower them to accomplish their missions. And with that, I'd like to thank you so much for coming. Is there anything else, Guy?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to ask the superintendent before we end? I know we have such a short interview. Is there anything else that you want to cover that we have not covered?
No, sir. I appreciate you guys having me. I appreciate the community members who are watching this for spending some time with me. And as you mentioned, I just encourage everyone to be informed and to vote. This is your school district. Yeah. This is the community school district. It always has been and always will be. And so that's why I want people to be educated and informed about what their decisions are when they vote, and just know that our school board and myself wake up every day trying to provide opportunities so that students can benefit from the reason in which many families come to this country.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you.
We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Chambers. 明天呢是我们的投票日，也请观众朋友们、闽南新闻的观众朋友们去投票 Alief 学区的 Superintendent Mr. Chambers. And last one, I want to thank Danny being my co-host today, and the DN Commercial sponsor SD Talk Show.
Thank you, Sky. We appreciate it. We work together. Synergy.
这就是今天的子天访谈录，我们下期再见。See you next week.